7 o'clock, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Will you please stand and pledge, please? This portion of our agenda is for public comment. If you would like to speak to the board, please give us your name, the town you're from, and we allocate 2 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to speak to the board? Yes.
Thank you, Jesse. Is that on? Yeah, Jesse Markham, Dublin. I'd like to start off by thanking the board for Monday night's forum. I know there was a challenging conversation for everyone involved, but I also think that it was an important conversation to have. I'd also like to thank you all for allowing the meeting to go on as long as it needed to, so that all community members could be heard. I think that was very important. I'd also like to specifically acknowledge Mr. Dunning for entertaining the notion that the board consider accepting the report, but not necessarily the recommendation. It was the first time in this process that I felt as though that my concerns, which are shared by many others, were heard. So thank you for that very sincerely. Concerning the report, my initial thoughts were when I read it that if I were a board member, I would likely accept the report, but not the recommendation, which is in line with Mr. Dunning's comments. But then I spent some more time thinking about it, and I started thinking about peer review. As a scientist, I participate in the scientific peer review process, both as an author and as a peer reviewer. In my own field, peer reviewers are generally asked to determine if a report fits into one of 4 categories. 1, suitable for publication as is. 2, not suitable for publication. 3, suitable for publication following minor revisions with no further review. And finally, number 4, might be suitable for publication following major revisions and subject to further review. The fact is that if I were asked to peer review this report, I would easily place it and confidently place it in the final category. The fact is that the report has some serious problems, some of which were brought up on Monday nights during Monday night's forum. Now, I know that the board is on a timeline, that you are exhausted, and that the last thing you want to do is compile a list of major revisions and then conduct further review. But given the importance of the report in guiding the board's future actions, as well as convincing the community that the board's actions are in fact appropriate, then I think that that would be the right thing to do. So thank you all again. This is a thankless job. We all know that. We all acknowledge that. There were a lot of emotions on Monday, but I think people were being sincere. So thank you all for listening.
Thank you. There are other members. All right. Not. Yes, please.
My first time doing this, so I just press this. It's already on. Okay. My name is Camille May. My family and I moved to Dublin at the beginning of the school year, and it was a very difficult transition for my family and for my children. I have 2 children in the Conval School District, a 3rd grader at DCS, and they've been a lifeline to us ever since we've been here. It took my daughter a month to feel comfortable getting out of the car to go to school. And every day they were patiently helping her just take the time that she needed. And had we gone to a different school, I'm not sure that they would have given us the time that she needed to start feeling comfortable enough to go. And now every day I pick her up and she said that she has an awesome day. So it seems like some very important voices that haven't been heard are ones from the elementary school, children themselves. And over the weekend, parents and children and I got together and the children wrote letters. And I have 10 letters to submit from DCS students and some who graduated from there. I'd like to read a couple if I have time. And then I also have ones that I'd like to submit to the board. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. I love DCS because the teachers helped me start wanting to go to school. And now every day I come home to say it was an amazing day. The teachers are very nice. I love that we can get ravens for doing what we're supposed to. I like that the art teacher lets us do really anything that we want to, and he is really not strict. I would feel sad if it closed, because then if other kids who would be joining DCS wouldn't be able to experience all of that. Hazel, grade 3. I like DCS because it is not as hard to make friends as in bigger schools, and my teachers do not have to learn as many names. I think my teachers are kind, and I want my friends. Can I have one more minute? Okay. I want my friends who are younger to have my teachers. When I was in kindergarten, I would play soccer with the 4th and 5th graders every day. They helped me to learn. I want to help younger kids to learn too. That is why I want DCS to stay open. And then just one last one is, why would you want to take my school away? It's very hard to lose something. So I do. Yes, I'm done. Yep. Thank you for your time. I apologize. I don't have copies for everybody, but should I leave them here? Or... Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
Other members who'd like to speak to the board? Please. Name and town, please.
Susanna Tomanoff, I'm from Hancock. I just wanted to urge you to take all the information that you received from Prismatic and understand that now the really difficult part starts. I would like you to consider not putting the warrant article on for March, and to take the year that's coming to really develop plans on how to implement what you as a board and the rest of the community feel will be the best solutions. I'm a little concerned that the public doesn't really know what might happen beyond just closing 4 schools. There's a whole lot more involved than just closing the schools. I think you have an opportunity at this point to really think outside the box. There might be other options in using the school buildings that you have. Either have grade level schools, maybe bring some grades back to the elementaries, use the elementaries for more senior care or daycare rather than just closing them. I would like to feel that there's flexibility regarding population change. I know that the studies all indicate that we're not going to have a boom. We might. So, and if the schools are closed, at that point, you'd have to then go and put in the time and money to open another school. I guess my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak to the board? Please.
Carrie Higley from Dublin. I did forget what I wrote at home, so I'm sorry if this seems a little bit choppy. I guess what I feel is the root of the issue for most of us is that all we have is a proposal with a lot of conditional statements. We don't have an actual plan, and that is terrifying to a lot of us. I would really like to urge you to take at least another year to put an actual plan in place, a plan that lays out bus routes, that tells us that you have bus drivers, that you have teachers to fill the positions. Something more tangible for us to look at and to actually vote on. You have to understand that you are asking us to vote on just something nebulous right now. The other thing that I would like to say is that Dr. Prieto's, in her presentation the other night, she mentioned that there would be a big decline in population by the year 2100. To be frank, I don't care about 2100. I care about right now. We are here now. Our children are here now. And this is the community that they live in now. So we're not looking forward more than 75 years. Please keep that in mind. Thank you.
Welcome, thank you. Are there any other members who would like to speak to the board? Yes.
My name is Michelle Silifoisi. I'm from Temple. I didn't actually prepare anything to speak. I didn't realize that you guys would be taking public comment. I just wanted to get up and speak to the fact that I've actually had 4 children in the Conval School District now, 2 that have both gotten to the point of Conval, one being valedictorian a couple of years ago. She went to PES and went through SMS and then to Conval. My 16-year-old is the same, and now we live in Temple. So my youngest 2 are 6 and 8, and they both thoroughly enjoy Temple. I've seen the difference in both the larger school and the smaller school. And I know it was said on Monday night that watching 2 children read to one another and seeing one reader that was much more advanced than the other and not being able to have the challenge. I just want to note that when my daughter, who was valedictorian at Conval, was at PES, I fought so hard for her to be challenged in that school, and she was sadly not. I spent months trying to get a challenge for both math and reading for her, and it never happened because the staffing wasn't there. I was told that it just wasn't possible. Finally, I think it was the last month of school that she was in 4th grade, they were able to bring in a parent that would help just have an extra group. But I think it's just important to note that it doesn't necessarily take a larger school for a challenge to be given to children. And I would be very, very, very sad for Temple to close. So I just had to say my piece, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'm not seeing anyone else. Okay, so we'll close public comment. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. I shared on Monday that we would be bringing a motion forward to accept the proposal sent to us by Prismatic so that we could close that and we would be able to do the funding and pay the company for their efforts. So if I could have a motion to accept the report and a second. Moved second. Any discussion? Dan? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I respectfully request clarification on the point.
That's the intent of the motion, absolutely. Dan, I saw your hand.
Can I just respectfully request that you guys put your mics on when you're talking?
Although I didn't agree with all the comments from Monday, the things I took away from that were that people did not feel included and they didn't feel they had enough time come March to make a decision. So I'm just going to think out of the box for a minute here and say, can we delay the vote if it goes in that direction to like mid-year and have a special election, and in the meantime create some kind of a task force, including community members, where they work with us, they help navigate us through some of these issues of, what's going to happen to the buildings, maybe one from each town. I mean, I just don't want us to have any more division than what we already have. Rightly or wrongly, no matter how we feel, however the vote comes out, this district will be divided in March. And I don't want to see that happen. It's bad enough the whole country's divided now. And I just want us to see if we can think about another option. And that has nothing to do with the motion. I get that. It's more moving forward. Thank you.
Any other questions? Catherine? And then Jim?
Well, I just wanted to respond that it would be in the board's purview to have a special meeting. We would have to budget for that special meeting because each town would then have to hold the meeting, just like they would the regular March election, they would have to have that. So I think that's something the board would like to consider. Then we would really need to consider that in our budget process, and make sure that we have funded that, because there's election workers. I mean, that piece of it would have to be considered, but it's certainly, in theory, allowable, not usual, but allowable. And it's, given what we've heard, it's one course of action that we could certainly entertain.
Jim?
To Dan's point, tonight, we had a motion to approve the report. We've had a discussion on the report. When we vote on the report, we're gonna have any more discussion on the rest of the consolidation, or are we gonna, how are we gonna spend our time tonight? And I don't think we should vote. People got things to say. We ought to say things before we vote, but if we're gonna continue discussion on this, then we ought to keep it going.
Remember, it is just to accept the report.
I understand.
That's it. And yes, the intent is to have more discussion, no question. I think Bill helped clarify that with his statement. Janine, I saw your hand.
That's basically what I was going to say, is that all we're doing tonight is accepting the report so the company can be paid. Any discussion about how we might proceed with the recommended model in the report is for another time. Maybe next Tuesday night. I don't know. I think that might be what's on the agenda.
Any other board members? Catherine?
Well, depending on the direction we go, I think the board owes it to ourselves and to the community to begin the discussion on the report while we're gathered, every opportunity that we have, because we will need to figure out it, one direction, another, that we're going to do nothing, whatever the case may be, but we will need time to begin those deliberations. So I do think after we voted on this motion, I would like to begin our initial discussions on the report itself, because we have had time to read it. We've had time to digest it. We've heard initially from the public their first reactions, but I think this dialogue really has to continue, in my opinion.
Any other board members? All right. So, Catherine, I believe the discussion will take place after the vote. Any other questions for board members? All right. All those in favor of accepting the report, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Now, open for discussion. Superintendent?
I would respectfully request non-public for reputation. Reputation would speak to a reputation of someone that is not on the board and not in the administration.
All
You
right.
don't have to grant my request, but.
I move that we go into non-public under 91A, :3, Roman 2, reputation.
All right.
There's-
Can I have a motion to go into non-public? I have the motion. Can I have a second? Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye in their name. Dick? Um,
I don't know what reputation means.
That what gets discussed could damage the reputation of an individual or an organization.
Thank you. Directly related to this topic of the consolidation. Thank you.
So superintendent says it'd be about 5 minutes, so if you'll give us 5 minutes, we won't go longer than 5 minutes, so we have to cite, is everyone cited their name to non-public? Has that gone around? All right. Dick, I've done. We'll go to non-public for 5 minutes and we'll start. Yes. Any questions? Janine?
So, I mean, we still have a little bit of time to decide whether we're gonna put it on the warrant article this year, don't we? Don't we have like another couple weeks at least? Okay, so we don't really have to vote on that, and we can have that discussion about what the board feels about the report before we make a decision about, yes, the warrant article now or warrant article next year, which I totally disagree with.
That is true. You would.
So do you want me to make a motion?
No, we have a motion on the floor now.
Oh, okay.
You have to vote this down one way or the other before we go any further.
Point
Tom.
of clarification, so if the motion gets voted down, does that mandate us to have a warrant on, in 24?
No, it
Because of
does
the
not.
wording of, just because of the wording of okay.
It would simply mean you have more time to discuss what you want to do as a board. I'm going to request a roll call vote, which means Brenda will call your name and you will vote yay, nay, or abstain. Yeah, so the motion, are you clear on the motion? Are you clear on what your vote would say? All right. Could I please have a roll call vote? Brenda? So the motion has been defeated, so it'll enable us to continue on a conversation. Board. Discussion for the board members on how you would like to go forward in discussing the report. Do you want to spend time between now and next Tuesday to spend more time in the report? Or do you want to continue discussions around the report tonight? What's your druthers? Neen?
So you said we had a pretty heavy agenda on the 19th. Do we, is that because of the report or is it other stuff?
The report was a big part of that, yes.
Okay, I would want for us to go away, think until next Tuesday and have the discussion Tuesday night.
Other thoughts by board members? Okay.
From a personal point of view, this is the hardest thing I'm going to have to do because of my career, my winter job, if you will. So I just wanted to state that to make sure everybody understood that I run a ski school with 180 employees that's open 9 to 9 every day. Thank you.
Comments from other board members? One of the things I would like to ask you to, one of the things I'd like to ask the board tonight to entertain is someone on the board making a motion to instruct the superintendent to look at a one-tier busing system to address the starting times of schools.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We'd ask the superintendent to look at a one-tier busing system that will allow us to adjust the starting times of schools, which has come forward many times. It also would be addressed in part of what we're talking about and looking at whatever decisions we might make around consolidation and reconfiguration. So charge that to the superintendent to bring that back to us, Tom. Sure. One tier would be one bus route that would go K to 12. So, for example, bus starts in Francistown, picks up the elementary kids, drops them off, brings the middle school kids to their school and to the high school. So it'd be just, instead of two routes, it's one route. Yeah, that's right. Yep. All right. Questions on that? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve that. All those in favor of directing the superintendent, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. Abstentions, okay. Thank you, so that will be a charge. Between now and Tuesday, questions that you have around the report and the direction we want to go in, please bring those to the meeting. I've been here 41 years in the school system, 9 years on the board. We've discussed what we want to do with schools for at least the last 10 years, and the board has never been able to make a decision. Our decisions not only for students, but our decisions are also connected to the taxpayers. And I've been here long enough to hear from all sides. I have great appreciation for the small schools. I went to Dublin when it was grades 1 through 8. I came back as a teacher and a teaching principal in that building, and I came to South Meadow School to be an administrator. The value of a school cannot be overlooked, but the value of being able to provide for students the greatest opportunities to learn can't be lost. And there are advantages to looking at having larger enrollments in a school to provide those opportunities for kids. In my entire experience in the Conval School District, we have never had a foreign language program K to 12. In the world we live in today, I believe that is a crime, to deprive our students of a second language, particularly in the world we live in. We also have to be able to come together and make decisions that's good for all, not individuals. I understand the compassion from the heart, and I understand the reasoning from the head, and sometimes they're in conflict. As a board, we need to listen to all of that and listen to you, and we have. We've changed strategies, we've changed directions. But as a board, our decisions need to be made on the larger picture and what's good for all, not necessarily an individual. So when you contemplate your decisions, you need to think about what would be the best for all students and what would be best for all the taxpayers and how we can adjust getting that input that Bill spoke about tonight from the communities to address their concerns. If we go through with the warrant article communities, you have a voice. In a democracy, that voice is critical. And as some board members have shared tonight, if it gets voted down by unanimous vote, that's a clear sign. If it just fails, that's a clear sign. If it passes, it's a clear sign, because that voice will be from the community, from all of you, not just the representative people who sit here. I think it's critical that this board get a message from the communities, all taxpayers, not just parents. Love you, parents, dealt with you for years, but there are other people out there who are not parents, who are struggling in this world with the cost of what it costs to run this district, and we need to be sensitive to that. And I also want you to be sensitive to that. I also want you to be aware, I've lived here when we had a budget cut, and when the budget gets a point where it breaks the backs of the community, we have a cut, go to a default budget. The year we had that default budget, it took us 10 years to recover from the educational loss we lost over that budget cut. You need to keep that in mind because that does happen when the taxpayers can't carry the burden anymore. I remember a community member from Peterborough, his name was Fran Chapman, and every year he'd come to the district meeting, and every year Fran would say, "You're going to be at $60 million if you don't do something." We are going to be at $60 million if we don't do something. We need to be sensitive to the communities and the taxpayers at the same time as being sensitive to our parents and our students. This is not an easy task. It'll be one of the most difficult tasks this board has ever taken into consideration. So I ask you, board members, to think about what it is that'll help us be successful, and parents, suggestions that'll help us to meet your needs. I want to commend the parents who've come forward. You're civil, you're respectful, and that doesn't happen everywhere in this country, and you've seen it and witnessed it. That speaks to you as we are Conval, and you are here representing yourself, but you're civil. And I tip my hat to you for that. I commend you. So thank you. And board members, thank you for listening to this dissertation. I appreciate it. Is there anything else we would need to bring forward tonight that board members have? Jim?
I would suggest that Dick said to think about what you want to know for the next discussion. I would also suggest that if you have an idea about a warrant article, that we might write it, document it, write it down, we can share it. Because we all know when we bubble words, we don't catch them properly. Take the time to formulate a warrant article that you think you'd like to see. If you don't want to see a warrant article, just say no warrant article.
All right. The end of our agenda is the second time for public comment. So if someone who would like to, thank you.
Good evening. John Wood from Dublin. The founder and CEO of Under Armour, Kevin Plank, said, "Trust is lost or gained in drops and lost in buckets." What I have witnessed tonight as a citizen, having been to many of these board meetings, watched from my home, the comfort of my home, while you had to sit in this building, this is the most discussion that I, as a citizen of this region, has seen in the 2 years that I've lived here. It is very uplifting to watch each and every one of you discuss these pieces. It's okay that we have a different of opinion. That is fine. That is a democracy, and I respect that. I ask you to continue doing that in public. We, the parents and citizens and taxpayers as well, do want to hear differences of opinion. I'm sure some of you have seen my Facebook group, and I've given my differences of opinion, and I'm okay with everybody having one. And as the chairman said, it's healthy to have the conversation and be okay with us being different. I do want to point out that there was a question on Monday night regarding an advisory warrant article, and I want to make sure you clear that I was not threatening in any way anyone in this room. I want clarification because when I Google advisory warrant article, I cannot find a single thing. So when I was referencing a legal conversation, that was purely to understand when you say advisory, what does that mean? And I believe a lot of the community has the same question. 78% of the voters in 2019 voted for this warrant article. That was in your documentation. I think the community has given you a clear path of what they would like to see done. I personally believe that this board and the report does not satisfy what the vote has already been cast. Thank you.
Thank you. Other members? Yes, sir.
Christopher Gallagher from Dublin. I guess what I was somewhat surprised at kind of the conclusion that you came to of basically waiting until next week. I'm sure this whole group will be back and more, probably many more people, which is okay. Yeah, I guess I heard, we never got to the discussion of what your opinions are on things. I guess that would happen next week, but I heard, I thought there was a majority of people expressing the wish that we need to wait. We're not ready. The community's not ready. There's a large chance that the community will vote against the warrant article that comes out within a week. I don't know what's going to change with that. But I guess in the one thing in the week you have, you got to look at that housing study. It wasn't in the, it was not there, and it's a very real thing, and other things. I'm going to encourage people to contact you individually from your town and express your opinion for next week. And this group will return, I'm sure, probably get some more chairs up to for here. But that's what you voted on, so we'll go with it. Thanks.
Yes.
Carrie Higley from Dublin again. One of you said that you felt like you've not yet heard from the people, and I do think that that is true. I think that the survey questions, I was not satisfied with any of the answers, and I feel that I can speak for a lot of us in saying that most of us parents did not feel that way, and I do appreciate very much the fact that you are willing to take some time to hear from us, to learn. We also, I think, would like to learn. I am very much against the proposal, and as I said before, the unknown is terrifying, especially when we have young children in school, and this is regarding young children. If you guys could come up with some type of plan, something tangible that we can touch and we can see, so we know what to expect, I feel like that would be half of the battle, really. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Jesse Markham, Dublin. I just wanted to respond to Mr. Harper's comment about the fact that the public doesn't generally come in here and say that you're doing a good job. I've been coming here for board meetings the last few years, and I feel like it's usually with some criticism. And I need to make clear, in light of that comment, that I do support this board. And I need to make that really abundantly clear. During COVID, Mr. Frederickson mentioned that it was certain types of people who came in who were against. I was at home watching those meetings at home. I didn't come in here because it was COVID. But the fact is, during those times, I was incredibly impressed with what this district and what this board did. Our children thrived. And I think if I was in another district, I would be jealous of what this district did. I think we were very, very fortunate. And if anything, I've heard that there's kind of a call that you need us to not just come in with criticism, but we need to be your advocates as well. So I want to let you know that I will do that. I have heard your call. And in those circumstances where you do need some more support, I will be here for that. I don't necessarily feel that's the case with this particular issue, but I do support you, and I put a lot of faith in you. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Before we leave, I'd just like to share with the parents who are here who may not be aware of this, but as a school board, we're very proud to share that our superintendent has been selected as superintendent for the state of New Hampshire for, is it 2023 or 2024? I can't remember. 2024. So that acknowledgement went out to us last Friday, and it'll be coming out to the communities. But I think it speaks to Kimberly's leadership, particularly around when we looked at the lawsuit and the job she did, not only for our children and our taxpayers, but children throughout the state. It was commendable. I would not want to be the person who has to cross-examine this lady, I'll tell you. So anyway, we're very proud of that, and we'd like you to be proud of that also, because she represents you as community members of the Conval School District. So just share that with you. And I certainly would entertain a motion for adjournment if there's nothing else to. Could I have a second? Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions. I guess we're adjourned.